Hey, what's up you guys? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new, I'm Kasey and I upload true crime videos every Friday. Today, we're going to be discussing the disappearance of Karlie Guse, who is a young woman who disappeared from her home in Bishop, California after a night out with her friends. Many inconsistencies surround her disappearance, so today we will dive in and explore every theory about what could have happened to Karlie, and I'm curious to hear what you all think in the comments. Karlie Lain Guse was born to her parents Lindsay and Zachary on May 13, 2002. Lindsay and Zach shared another child, Karlie's older brother Kane. There isn't much information about their marriage, but what we do know is that the two split up when Karlie was only 2 years old. The two remained somewhat amicable and continued to raise their children in Bishop, California. Containing less than 4,000 people, Bishop is a small town located halfway between Sacramento and Las Vegas, nestled between several national forests. Bishop residents are hardworking people, many working in construction or retail, and enjoy hiking, fishing, and hunting in their free time. During Memorial Day weekend, they host a festival called Mule Days to celebrate their town's heritage. Many feel that it's an excellent place to raise a family, despite the crime rate being higher than the national average. Life in Bishop was all that Zach and Lindsay knew. Each of them had relatively large families, and Karlie and Kane grew up surrounded by cousins. Though Lindsay had full custody of the children, Zach remained very active in the kids' lives. He eventually got remarried to a woman named Melissa, and together they welcomed 2 additional baby boys into their family. Karlie and Kane would often spend weekends with their dad, and Karlie seemed to adapt well to these changes. She had a great relationship not only with her brothers, but also her new stepmom, Melissa. When she was only 10 years old, Karlie moved in with her dad, Melissa, and 2 younger brothers. Though Lindsay still maintained physical custody of her children, she allowed them to move in with Zach and Melissa full-time rather than taking them with her when she moved to Bakersfield. Karlie remained in Zach and Melissa's care up until the day of her disappearance. Aside from adjusting to her blended family, Karlie had a reasonably normal upbringing. Melissa claims that she always treated Zach's older children as she did her own. However, sources close to the family claim otherwise. Allegedly, Melissa had some resentment towards Zach for his past marriage and for having older children. These allegations are not proven, but I feel it's worth mentioning considering Melissa's significant role in Karlie's life and disappearance. Both Zach and Melissa were hardworking, middle-class Americans with kids to feed. Zach worked in construction, while Melissa worked at a small title loan company. Karlie had recently began her junior year of high school at Bishop High. After school, she had a part-time job as an assistant at the same loan company that Melissa worked. She had a boyfriend named Donald, and she was pretty popular among her peers. Karlie is described as being introverted, but incredibly sweet and funny. She had somewhat of a goofy personality with the precious ability to laugh at herself and never took herself too seriously. Karlie enjoyed skateboarding, swimming, watching movies, and played video games with her brothers. She had a deep love for animals and was incredibly close with her dog Breezy. Just 2 months before Karlie's disappearance, the Guse family decided to move from Bishop to Chalfont Valley, California. Chalfont is only about 20 minutes north of Bishop, so this wasn't a life-altering move. Karlie remained in the same school district and was still close to her friends and extended family. They simply moved from one house to another. Around the same time, Lindsay, Karlie's biological mother, moved from Bakersfield, California to Nevada. Karlie and Lindsay remained close and spoke with each other several times a week. I'm not sure if these changes were bothering Karlie, however, she quickly began facing some challenges, mainly at school. In the month leading up to her disappearance, she was suspended from school for smoking marijuana. I'm not sure how her parents responded to this news. However, Karlie subsequently started attending counseling following this incident. Now, I want to jump forward and speak about the week of October 12th, 2018. A friend close to Karlie noticed that she was exhibiting some bizarre and paranoid behavior throughout that week. She refers to these incidents as Karlie's quote-unquote episodes, where she would become terrified that someone was tracking her phone or possibly following her. Despite how afraid Karlie seemed to be, she never mentioned any of this fear to her parents. She seemed to be fine to them, so when she asked if she would be allowed to attend the Bishop High School football game on Friday, they agreed. On October 12th, Karlie attended her classes before leaving the school with her boyfriend Donald at approximately 3:20 p.m. Afterward, they met up with a few friends, which is where things get confusing. Some sources claim that Karlie attended a party with Donald and several other kids, while Donald himself says otherwise. He claims that they met with friends and smoked marijuana with them, but it wasn't a party. Either way, what we do know is that Karlie never showed up at the football game, and the night eventually took a turn for the worst. Meanwhile, Melissa and her 2 younger children attended a Halloween trunk-or-treat event in Bishop. She went with her mother while Zach was still at work. The event started at 5:30 p.m. and lasted approximately 2 hours. When Melissa left the event around 7:30 p.m., she called Karlie and told her she was picking up some dinner from Taco Bell and asked her if she wanted anything. She made sure that Karlie didn't need a ride home before heading back home to Chalfont. She told Melissa that Donald would be bringing her home and that she didn't need a ride. Melissa claims that she didn't notice anything unusual about the call or the way that Karlie sounded. Donald, as well as other friends that were with her that night, tell a different story. After smoking marijuana, Donald and other witnesses claim that Karlie became incredibly upset throughout the evening. She became ill and asked Donald to take her home. At some point, the 2 of them left and made their way towards Donald's home. However, the 2 would never make it there because Karlie became terrified that someone was following her. Donald claims that she was visibly upset, sometimes even running away from him. He says that he reached out to console her, but as he hugged her, she bit him before running away. He claims that he didn't want to scare her more, so he stood in the street for a while. When she didn't come back, he simply walked home, even though he was supposed to drive her back to Chalfont. Once the 2 separated, Karlie then placed a phone call to Melissa's mother. Though they weren't biologically related, Karlie considered her to be a grandmother and tried to reach out to her for help. Karlie asked for permission to come to her house and spend the night, but the grandmother told her no. She told Karlie to call Melissa to pick her up. At 8:30 p.m., Karlie placed a call to Melissa and asked her to come pick her up from the trailer park where the gathering took place. Melissa claims that she sounded frantic by that point, telling her quote-unquote, "Never mind, hurry up, I changed my mind. Come get me. I'm booking it down Dixon Lane. Hurry, hurry, I'm scared." Melissa and Zach have given different versions of what happens next, so I'm going to discuss each variation. In the first version, Melissa claims that she had just pulled into the driveway in Chalfont when she receives the frantic call from Karlie. She claims that she immediately backed up and headed back to Bishop to pick her up. She arrived approximately 20 minutes later and found her running down the street in the dark. Melissa claims she only saw Karlie because she had her phone's flashlight on. Now, in the second version, Zach claims that he and Melissa were sitting in bed together when Melissa received the phone call from Karlie. He claims that the 2 briefly spoke about what was going on and that Melissa remarked that she had to go and pick up his daughter before leaving. These seem like small details that aren't relevant, but it's evident that one of them is lying. My question is, why lie? After Karlie's disappearance, each of them told conflicting stories on the Dr. Phil show, not even 1 minute apart. I can't put the clips in without getting a copyright claim, but I'll link them below and read you the transcripts. Dr. Phil asked Zach, "Were you there when the call came in?" Zach then replies, "I was there, but I didn't know what was going on. All she, meaning Melissa, told me was, 'I've got to go get Karlie.'" Dr. Phil then responds with, "Okay," to which Zach says, "I mean, at the time, I thought she was at the football game, so I was kind of wondering why." In the same interview, Dr. Phil asked Melissa, "What did she, meaning Karlie, say when she called?" Melissa responds with, "When I first got into the driveway, the phone rang, and I talked to her, and she didn't want to hang up. She didn't want me to hang up the phone." It could just be that these are small details that don't really matter. Melissa could have received the phone call, quickly took the younger kids inside, and told Zach that she had to pick up Karlie. But my question is, why didn't Melissa stay on the phone when Karlie was acting frantic? And why wasn't Zach made aware that his teen daughter was in distress? Melissa portrays the conversation as very dramatic and urgent, while Zach simply acts like it was no big deal. He had no actual knowledge of what was happening, which seems strange to me given the circumstances and that Karlie was so upset during the phone call. Zach has later admitted that he had a few drinks after he came home from work, so it's possible that he simply doesn't remember all of the details of that evening, or was maybe too plastered to care. The world probably will never know. No matter which version is correct, We know that Melissa drove into Bishop and picked Karlie up. Unfortunately, there are multiple versions of what happened next as well, so I'll explain each one of them. First, Melissa claims that Karlie was so afraid that she immediately jumped into the car when she pulled up. She allegedly jumped in the back seat onto the driver's side when she usually would have sat in the front seat. Melissa claims that Karlie was scared of her and the car, and even reached forward and grabbed the steering wheel at one point. In another version of this story, Melissa claims that Karlie was too afraid to get in the car with her. Karlie made remarks that Melissa or the car would kill her. When Melissa finally convinced Karlie to get in the vehicle, she says that she continued to switch to different seats in the car the entire trip back home and was acting very irrational. Additionally, she says that Karlie was very pale and quote-unquote looked like a ghost and her pupils were really dilated. According to Melissa and Zach, Karlie's behavior only became strange once they arrived home between 9:30 p.m. Zach claims that at that point, Karlie was standing in the corner freaking out and claiming that they were going to hurt her. However, in the next breath, she was telling them both how much she loved them. They both claimed that she would not allow them to come near her or touch her throughout the night, and she was acting like she was terrified of her phone. Throughout the evening, they attempted to get the truth from Karlie about what was going on. Given her recent drug use and trouble in school, combined with this erratic behavior, they both believed that she had abused some kind of drug or alcohol. Karlie eventually admitted that she smoked marijuana, but claimed that wasn't what was wrong. This behavior went on for several hours. Melissa and Zach allowed Karlie time to sober up enough to tell them what happened. However, this behavior continued throughout the night into the early morning hours. During this time, Karlie became hungry, so Melissa gave her a protein bar and a salad to eat for dinner. While looking at the leaves in the salad, she began referring to it as quote-unquote the devil's lettuce, which made her more afraid. Once she ate, they were able to get Karlie to settle down some and convinced her that she should go to bed. She was no longer afraid of Melissa because she claims now that Karlie asked her to quote-unquote spend the night with her in her room. Karlie became very attached to Melissa and didn't want her to leave her side, begging her for a girls' night. Melissa claims that Karlie wanted to read the Bible, paint their nails, and color, which she agreed to. Zach allegedly went into their bedroom and slept through the night while he left Melissa to deal with his daughter on her own. She describes Karlie's behavior as a complete roller coaster. She would go from feeling happy to feeling sad or scared within a matter of minutes. For some reason, Melissa decided to take her phone and start secretly recording Karlie's behavior. I do find this decision to be somewhat questionable, simply because my first thought wouldn't be to take out my phone and record my daughter while she's in a vulnerable state. But it's even more strange when you consider that Karlie was terrified of Melissa and her smartphone just a few hours prior. She claims that she simply wanted to document how Karlie acted under the influence so she could show her later. But to me, it seems like a risky move. Why risk upsetting Karlie all over again if she figured out she was being recorded? Why risk making her feel terrified or like she was even being threatened? Melissa recorded a video that is approximately 20 minutes long. The video contains only audio and a black screen. Karlie can be heard telling Melissa that she's afraid to go to sleep and asking her to call 911. Melissa allegedly tried to comfort Karlie, telling her that she wouldn't call 911 because nothing was wrong. This recording has stirred up quite a bit of drama, but I'll come back to that in a minute. There are several versions of what happened in those early morning hours, so once again, I'll do my best to cover each one of them. The first version of Zach and Melissa's story was given in an interview with Dateline. They claim that when Karlie finally fell asleep, Melissa left her and went to sleep in her own bed next to Zach. She claims that she woke up at approximately 5:45 a.m. on the morning of October 13th, 2018, and began her morning routine. Despite it being a Saturday morning, and the fact that she had been up until approximately 4:30 a.m. with Karlie, Melissa went through and woke each one of the kids up to tell them good morning. When she approached Karlie's room, she opened her door, laid eyes on her, and decided not to wake her up, given that she had only been asleep for about an hour. Melissa then decided to go back to bed for a while, waking up again about an hour later at 7 a.m. She went to check on Karlie once again, only this time, Karlie wasn't in her bedroom. At that point, she went back to her and Zach's bedroom, woke him up, and told him that Karlie wasn't there. Now, I want you to remember that because that part of her story changes later. Melissa allegedly told Zach that Karlie was gone, claiming that she had already checked the house and the backyard, but Karlie was nowhere to be found. In the next version given, Melissa and Zach claim that Melissa stayed in Karlie's room all night and slept in bed with her. She claims that she woke up at approximately 5:45 a.m., like in the first version, but simply looked over at Karlie before falling back asleep. In this version, she did not physically get up, wake up her children, or say good morning to them. She claims that she then woke up again between 7:15 and 7:30 a.m. to find that Karlie was no longer beside her. When each of Karlie's parents appeared on the Dr. Phil show, approximately 6 months later, Melissa openly admitted that she lied during the Dateline interview, which occurred 10 days after Karlie's disappearance. When asked why she would lie, she claimed that it was because she, quote, didn't know what to say, and that she wasn't in the place to be doing interviews during that time. She tried to justify the lie because that interview took place, quote unquote, in the beginning, as if that's not the most crucial time in an investigation. I can sympathize and understand that she may not have known how to conduct herself during an interview, especially during that time. However, it seems like telling the truth about what happened would have been much more straightforward and easier to say than an elaborate false story. There are so many inconsistencies in Zach and Melissa's stories that it's hard to believe anything they say if it cannot be proven. Either way, by 7 a.m., Karlie was nowhere to be found. Her phone was still in the home, although where it was in the house is not clear. Melissa and Zach claim they first suspected that she might have gone for a walk because their front door was slightly ajar. Given her mind frame the night before, they were highly concerned about this and physically went out to search for her. They claim that there's a sitting spot just up the road from their house and suspected that she could be there. By this point, they had also called Donald, who rushed over that morning to help search for Karlie. While searching, Melissa saw a neighbor outside and stopped to ask him if he had seen her daughter. He told her that he thought that he had. This neighbor is a retired Los Angeles County police officer, which makes him more observant than most people. He was sitting in his jacuzzi, enjoying a cup of coffee between 6:30 and 7 a.m. when he looked up and noticed a tall, slender female with long hair walking down the street. She was wearing a white top and gray sweatpants, and she was holding a piece of paper up in the air, which he thought was odd. Melissa remarked that he might have been the last person to see her. He offered to help search the area around his home and took his motorcycle through the canyon behind his house. After searching and not finding anything, Melissa remarked, "Okay, thanks anyway," and continued to look around the neighborhood. About 2 hours later, Zach and Melissa finally decided to call Lindsay. They informed her that Karlie was quote-unquote gone, which instantly made her suspicious and immediately aware that something terrible had happened to her daughter. She was even more suspicious because they still had not called 911. She urged them to do so, and they finally contacted the authorities after Karlie had been missing for nearly 4 hours. Thankfully, the Mono County Sheriff's Office took her disappearance incredibly seriously and started working the case right away. They utilized every resource that they had from day one. It included a helicopter search, scent dogs, and a search team of about 60 people, which is significant for that area. After searching for most of the day, Melissa went live on Facebook around 5 p.m. She asked for any tips on her disappearance. Doing this isn't unusual, however, she acted very strange in the video, which made people suspicious of her from the very beginning.
My name is Melissa Guse. If you're going to watch this video, please do not have the kids around. Karlie Lain Guse is missing still. She's been missing since... Breathe. She's been missing since 6:30 a.m. The last time that I spoke to her was 5:30. She didn't take her cell phone. We're coming up on 10 hours. And now is the part where I'm saying I have to do something, because we've had CHP flyover, we've had the Inyo and Mono County sheriffs flying over, or Bishop PD, or CHP flying over. They had their copter day. Thank you to CHP. Love you. And We are going to potentially have the helicopter did the search over a very large area, shell fought all the way around us, all the way down to Lake Laws, and they're amazing. And several of Mono County sheriffs, and I see all your faces popping up and it makes me want to cry. I love you guys. And I'm putting this out there because it's going on 10 hours that she's been missing. And I want to put this on blast because I don't think she's out in the desert. I think that she could have been abducted or taken because we do live by a highway and it happens, and I'm being real. And I just want to let everybody know, Alicia, you're calling me. Are you watching the video? She's not watching the video. That's okay. I want to put this on blast because I don't know what to do to consider her a missing person. You can't do an Amber Alert because she didn't leave in a car, and I don't have a physical description of a vehicle. She is 5'7". Hold on. Let's do this good. Wait, there she is. She's 5'7", about 115 pounds. She has blue eyes and the cutest little nose and a great smile. And her hair goes all the way down past her, like to her belly, let's say, mid-waist. And this was last year's picture. Shows you she's a little bit different, but not much. She's still like adorably cute. She doesn't wear makeup and everything. She left in her jeans and a t-shirt. So I'm putting it out there and just go for it. Everybody help me out here. I love you all. Everybody please watch, share, your friends share, my friends share, everybody just share the shit out of it. All right.
Melissa live streamed many videos in the weeks and months following Karlie's disappearance. I'm not going to insert every video for the sake of time, but I will link a video below with clips from some of those streams. Additionally, she and Zach created a Facebook group that is dedicated to finding Karlie. While this isn't uncommon in disappearances, Melissa almost took on an influencer role within the group. She labeled the group members as Team Karlie and demanded that the group's videos and information not be shared. This raised some eyebrows because generally, families want to spread as much information about the case as possible to raise awareness and get more social media attention. People soon began to overanalyze each video that Melissa posted. They started to notice her referring to Karlie in the past tense, which isn't ever a good sign. They caught these inconsistencies in Melissa and Zach's stories. People thought that it was bizarre that Melissa felt the need to censor every little thing being said. I kind of feel like she genuinely let the fact that now that they have a following get to her head. She was and still does thrive on the attention that this has brought her, and I find that really unsettling. Anyway, Bishop and Chalfont Valley residents rallied together and continued to search for Karlie. 2 additional witnesses claimed that they saw a girl matching Karlie's description walking along White Mountain Estates, walking toward Highway 6, which is just west of where the neighbor saw her. Each stated that she was wearing a white t-shirt, gray sweatpants, and sneakers. Despite the temperature being in the low 40s, she wasn't wearing a jacket. Karlie had left behind her glasses and cell phone. When Nancy Grace questioned the Guses about what Karlie was wearing, they claimed that she was wearing a white Vans t-shirt with only her underwear underneath. They were aware of one pair of Vans missing from her shoe collection, but could not be sure if anything else was missing. In the beginning, Melissa told people that Karlie was wearing skinny jeans. Once multiple witnesses came forward with their descriptions, she then changed her tune. Her explanation for this was that it was just an assumption because Karlie was always wearing skinny jeans. They were very defensive about this discrepancy while being interviewed by Nancy Grace. Melissa also tried to answer for Zach nearly every time, which is really interesting. Basically, it was just a media shitstorm. The Mono County Sheriff's Department used off-road vehicles to continue to search the vast desert surrounding White Mountain Estates. However, it led them nowhere. There was absolutely no sign of Karlie, and they found no new leads. Investigators also looked into Karlie's phone records and social media accounts, but as far as we know, it has not provided any further insight into her disappearance. During the first few days, Melissa, Zach, and Lindsay worked closely to search for Karlie. However, it didn't take long before negative emotions kind of took over. Melissa was judging Lindsay for staying back rather than going out and physically searching. Lindsay began to feel suspicious of Zach and Melissa and believed that they could be responsible for her daughter's disappearance, especially once she saw the video that Melissa took of Karlie. Initially, she only saw part of the clip. Once she watched the full 23-minute video, she began to believe that something sketchy was going on. Lindsay has said that Karlie can be heard telling Melissa that she really messed up. Melissa responded and told Karlie that we all do things in life that we regret, drugs especially. Karlie then responds by thanking Melissa and telling her that she loves her before suddenly spitting out her salad and claiming it was the devil's lettuce. Directly after, Melissa tells Karlie that it's time to go to sleep, to which Karlie responds and states that she doesn't want to go to sleep because she was worried that Melissa would kill her. Melissa responded and asked Karlie why she would kill her, stating that it was preposterous. Karlie then answered and said that she was thinking of demonic stuff and can't help it. I don't know what else was on the video, but whatever it was caused a complete divide between Lindsay, Zach, and Melissa from that point forward, to the point that they eventually went on to battle it out on Dr. Phil. Throughout the investigation, there's also been a constant power struggle between Lindsay and Melissa. Lindsay has been pushed aside and not given updates repeatedly by investigators and Zach and Melissa. There really haven't been any new developments in this case since then, and it seems like Karlie vanished into thin air. 1 year after her disappearance, the Mono County Sheriff's Department held a press conference asking people to come forward with any information they might have. They stated that they are actively working on the investigation, however, they have no new leads. The FBI is now assisting them with Karlie's case. Lindsay filed a formal complaint against Mono County Sheriff Ingrid Braun due to being shut out of the investigation. She has not received the updates that Zach and Melissa have, despite Lindsay having legal custody of Karlie at the time of her disappearance. She claims that the department disregards her as Karlie's mother and only communicates with Zach and Melissa. She also notes that they have ignored tips that have come in. Melissa allegedly quote-unquote cherry-picks the information sent to her on Facebook with over 18,000 members. That means that the group is incredibly biased and heavily censored. One of the rules listed on the group is that there is, quote, zero tolerance for nastiness to the Guse family. And if you speak out against Zach or Melissa, you'll be muted on the group and no longer allowed to comment. They will also allow nasty comments about you and the quote-unquote bullshit that you post. Now, those are their words, not mine. Lindsay runs a separate group that seems to be more open-minded to varying opinions. She wholeheartedly believes that Zach and Melissa could have something to do with Karlie's disappearance. I honestly don't know what to think. One theory is that Karlie was abducted and possibly put into human trafficking. Given how scared she was in the days leading up to her disappearance, specifically, she was afraid of her cell phone and the possibility that someone could be tracking her phone. Additionally, the evening before, she repeatedly told Donald that she believed someone was following them. Is it possible that she was being targeted? Could she have met someone online that was not who she thought they were? When she went out for a walk that morning, was someone waiting and watching for her? Investigators did complete a data dump of her phone and social media accounts and have not released any information that supports this theory. Many people believe another version of this theory and think that it's a possibility that she woke up that morning still under the influence and went for a walk to get some fresh air. As she walked down Highway 6, some type of predatory person spotted her and took advantage of the situation. Alternatively, is it possible that she woke up and knew that she would be in trouble with Zach and Melissa for her drug use the previous evening and decided to leave and go to her friend's or boyfriend's house before they woke up? As she walked towards Bishop, maybe she tried to hitch a ride and simply got into the wrong person's car? If she was going to run away to avoid getting into trouble with her parents, could she have left behind her cell phone because she didn't want them to utilize the Find My Phone feature and locate her whereabouts? If you remember, she reached out to her step-grandmother before she called Melissa the evening before. Now, to me, that indicates that she didn't want to go home, possibly out of fear of punishment that she would be facing. Another theory is that Karlie was still feeling the effects of whatever substance she was on the previous evening. She woke up, was still out of her mind, and went outside. As she was stargazing, she lost her way and somehow got lost in the desert surrounding their home. She either succumbed to the elements or possibly encountered some kind of wild animal. The two most dangerous animals in Mono County are poisonous snakes and black bears. However, being attacked by a black bear is not very common, and if a snake bit her, her body likely would have been recovered. Despite their extreme efforts, absolutely no evidence was recovered. The last theory, and probably the one that's most widely believed, is that Zach and Melissa were directly involved in Karlie's disappearance. There are multiple versions and a lot of speculation about what could have happened. Some people, including Lindsay, believe that Karlie overdosed at the Guse home sometime throughout the night. They then took steps to cover up the overdose to avoid being held responsible for her death. We know that Karlie made remarks on the video that Melissa would kill her if she went to sleep and asked her repeatedly to call 911, which she failed to do. Another version of this is that Zach and Melissa were under the influence of alcohol themselves the previous evening. When Karlie called and needed a ride, they were forced to go and pick her up. Given that she was running down the street in the pitch black, some people believe that one of them ran over her with their car, but she seemed okay at the time. They decided not to call for help out of fear that they would be in trouble. This could explain why Melissa decided to take a video of Karlie after they got back home. The video could act as somewhat of an alibi for Zach and Melissa in two ways. It gave them proof that she was at home and alive after the accident, and provided evidence that she was having a severe reaction to the drugs she had taken. This allowed them to then pin things back on Karlie. How easy could it be to act as if she were crazy and making up stories? How easy would it be to convince her that she was simply hallucinating the accident? It's possible that she was banged up and had minor injuries, which is why the video was black and only contained audio. Karlie could have asked them to call 911 because she knew that there was something wrong with her and because she was in pain. They likely assumed that Karlie had no significant injuries, but she actually had internal injuries that killed her during the night. When they woke up and discovered that Karlie was deceased, they panicked and covered up her death. The witnesses that allegedly saw Karlie walking toward Highway 6 could have been Melissa attempting to build an alibi and give their story more credibility. The witness stories changed over time to line up with each other, and the retired detective who allegedly saw Karlie was in his jacuzzi located in an enclosed porch. Given that it was 40 degrees out that morning, the glass windows likely would have been steamy, and he could have seen anybody out there that morning, including Melissa. In the week following Karlie's disappearance, Melissa also had to take her car for repairs and to be detailed, which she claimed was due to driving it through the desert while searching for Karlie. Additionally, Melissa has been heavily criticized for her bizarre behavior, not only on the Facebook group, but also on Karlie's Dr. Phil episode. Melissa smirked while she stated that the reason they don't want the world to hear the recording of Karlie is because it's not going to solve the mystery of where she is. They are incredibly defensive, and Melissa is very argumentative. As I mentioned earlier, she frequently refers to Karlie in the past tense, even in the weeks after her disappearance, and only want a video shared from the Facebook group when asking for donations. When you combine that with the many lies and inconsistencies, it leaves you wondering if Zach and Melissa know more than what they are leading on. What do you guys think happened to Karlie? Do you believe that Zach and Melissa have something to do with her disappearance? Or do you think something else happened to her? I want to add that Lindsay believes that Karlie overdosed and Melissa and Zach covered it up. I honestly don't know what to believe. There are so many different versions of their story that it's hard to believe anything that they say. I also believe that the marijuana she and Donald smoked was likely laced with something, or they were experimenting with harder drugs. I'm not a drug expert, but I feel it's possible that they were using meth the night before. Some of the symptoms of meth use include hyperactivity, paranoia, anxiety, insomnia, mood swings or outburst, twitching, dilated pupils, and rapid eye movement. Another sign is what they call tweaking, which is a period of anxiety and insomnia that can last between 3 to 15 days. Meth use is a big issue in Mono County, and I don't feel it's very far-fetched to believe that Karlie could have been experimenting with it. In the weeks leading up to her disappearance, she had gotten into some trouble. She was caught smoking marijuana at school and had been slacking on her grades. So I feel it's possible she tried to rebel. Maybe something was bothering her, or perhaps she just wanted to do something that she thought would be fun, but unfortunately ended up causing a tragedy in her life. There haven't been many new updates on Karlie's disappearance. The last type of update I could find was a mini video series about the case titled The Things They Carry, which was uploaded to the FBI's YouTube channel. I'll link it below, but it's several clips from the Guse family, the neighbor who last saw her, investigators, and Karlie's friends. Sadly, Lindsay was not included in that series, and I think it's unfortunate that she is still unable to actively be involved in her daughter's investigation. I don't know if we'll ever have answers in this case. There is currently a $17,500 reward for Karlie's safe return put up by the Guse family. Additionally, the FBI is offering an additional $5,000 for any information that leads to the location of Karlie. She is a white female with dark blonde hair and blue eyes. She's approximately 5'7" and 110 pounds. If you have any information about Karlie's whereabouts, please contact the Mono County Sheriff's Office at 760-932-7549 or by emailing them at karliegusetips@monosheriff.org. You may also contact the FBI's Sacramento office at 916-746-7000 or by submitting an anonymous tip online at tips.fbi.gov. That's all I got for you today, guys. Thank you for watching, and as always, remember the name Kasey Shane. I'm out.